Yeah. Like I said, I saw a couple of your videos. I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. I got interested because like, oh, that's interesting, their approach to it, to
Hmm.
the questions. Yeah, I went to your website and I like started browsing and looking into
Okay.
it, and I watched that like I think it's a 10-minute video
Hmm.
where you guys like introduce like who you guys are and what your method is and whatnot. And from there, I was pretty like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like this might be able to something that's different.
Yeah.
Obviously, what I've been doing is not working, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try.
Welcome to another episode of the CPA Exam Experience Podcast from SuperfastCPA. I'm Logan, and in today's episode, you're going to hear me talking with Ricardo. I loved Ricardo's story because it is a story of perseverance and a huge turnaround. Ricardo had been studying for about 12 or 13 years, off and on, failing exams, kind of stopping studying, coming back to it, failing exams, just a big repeat process over and over again of about 12, 13 years of failing the exams. Then one day he found SuperfastCPA and he started implementing the process that we teach, and he passed all of the exams first try this time around in about 12 months. So see the contrast there, about 12 to 13 years of failing exams to passing them all first try in 12 months. And so I think you're going to really want to listen to all the things that Ricardo has to say. He talked about studying in the morning being a game changer, and he also talked about the audio notes. He had these long drives where he would drive from Arizona to California and back, and he would listen to the audio notes pretty much that whole time, and that made a big difference as well. I think you're going to love this episode with Ricardo. Make sure you pay close attention to it. Now, just before we dive into the episode, I just want to give one more reminder about our Superfast CPA training webinar on SuperfastCPA.com. That is 1 hour, that is free, that will save you months and months of struggling with the exams. Again, it could change your whole process from 12 years of failing exams to passing them in a year, first try. That's the kind of thing that could happen if you watch the webinar and start applying the things that we teach. And if you want to learn more, of course, become a pro member where you get access to the pro course, where we will teach you even more in depth, basically a much more in-depth version of the webinar on how to pass the CPA exam. So make sure you check out becoming a pro member, check out the webinar. And with all that, let's dive into this great episode with Ricardo. All right, so thanks for getting on the call with me today, Ricardo. I'm excited to get talking to you, and I saw you in the forum posting, so it'll be cool to kind of hear more of your story. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to have you here. So, as we always do, let's just dive in. Let's just kind of get started from the beginning. So, where were you in your career or in your life when you decided you wanted to pursue the CPA? Why did you want to get the CPA?
So, I've actually wanted it as soon as I graduated. I actually graduated a long time ago, 2008. So, that's exact. They pushed it a lot in college, like, oh, get your CPA right after college, all that kind of stuff. And so, I think career-wise, I always wanted it because I know it opens a door to a lot of different things, whether it's tax, audit, or just corporate accounting, private. So I knew it was, something I wanted. So initially out of college, I did try. I think actually the first time I actually went and sat for the test was 2013. So it was a couple years after college.
Okay.
And mostly because I think I just had like a regular entry level accounting job. I kind of wanted to move up the chain kind of thing, up the ladder.
Right.
So I started then, and then ever since then, though, I've been on and off. Like the first two times I took it, I failed in 2013. I think I took Reg and FAR, and at that time, I think I got a score like 69 or something. And then after that, I was just on and off. I was like a couple years. Maybe I didn't study a year, maybe I did, and it was just like never really consistent until really last year, summertime, is when I really like, okay, I think I'm ready to get this done. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to make sure I'm understanding you there. So for the past like 12-ish years, maybe, I guess you weren't really, no, you just finished in 2025. So yeah, like 12-ish years on and off, you've been trying to do this. Is that right?
Yep. Correct. Yep. 12, 13 years. Yep.
Wow. And so what was, I'm sure we'll kind of dive into this, but what was the issue? Like you said that consistency and you kind of would be on and off. So what made it difficult to stay on top of it until you passed before?
I think it was just like, I think just the commitment wasn't there for me. Like, I think I was just in my 20s and I was interested in doing other things, like
Those dang 20-year-olds.
yeah, yeah. So I
So
think
here I am saying that I'm 28.
yeah, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just, I think for me, probably just mentally, I wasn't ready. I was just like my
Hmm.
mind
Yeah.
was somewhere else, like doing other things.
Yeah.
So that was probably the hardest for me. Like, just I think I wasn't mentally prepared and ready for it
Right.
at that time.
Yeah.
Now I'm much older, so I think I was ready.
Yeah. You were kind of more ready to commit to it. So
Correct. Yeah.
what did your studying look like before? So it was sporadic, but when you were studying, what were you doing?
So basically, I was just essentially I was just using the courses. So like I think at that time I had Becker early on. Um, I would just use their study course, which was try to read the book, watch the videos, and then they give you a set of questions, and then so it's basically trying to follow that, and
Hmm.
that was basically it. That's all these last 12, 13 years. I was still trying to do that type of study, which was
Just doing the same thing
read
over and
video,
over.
yeah,
Okay.
questions, and yeah, that was that's what the style looked like for the last 12, 13 years.
So pretty much just kind of the normal way of studying, watch the videos, read the textbook, then
Yeah,
get to the questions, and it just never really seemed to work. I mean, you got
right.
decently close. You said you got like to a 69 or something like that, but
Yeah.
how much time would you study for each exam before you took it previously?
Just I can't even remember back then, but it probably wasn't the best I could do. Like it was probably like
Hmm.
a couple hours here and there every day,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was just it
And
was
would
pretty
how long would
difficult
it
too.
take you to prep overall? Like a few months or how like a
Yeah, I
few
think
weeks?
typically I would take 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks has always been. Even back then, that was
Yeah.
my schedule. Like
Yeah.
try to keep it within
Okay.
2 months to try to knock them out. So
Okay, that makes sense. So, fast forward to you said summer 2024.
yeah.
So, what, like, you said you were ready to commit. Was there something in your life where you were like, I'm ready to do it now? Or was it just kind of a spur of the moment, like, you know what, I'm going to finally do it? Was there anything that happened?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So the controller at my job left. Excuse me. So the controller at my job left, and we were talking about opportunities I might be able to have at the job, and do take on other work, higher level
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and the CFO was pretty much wanted somebody with the CPA to take on that kind of higher level stuff. So that kind of gave me a little bump to be like, okay, maybe I should get it to kind of
Yeah.
work the ladder, or be able to do in other places. They look
Yeah.
for CPAs and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of pushed me along. And then just life wise, I got a daughter, 10-year-old daughter. That's also motivation. And
Yeah.
like I'm in my 40s, so I was like,
Absolutely.
okay, I think I'm ready. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
more
No.
stability too, because like just that
Yeah.
CPA title,
Mm-hmm.
just pretty confident in the work I can do. So like, I'll be able
You
more,
want other
the
people to be confident in it too.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. Yeah, all those pieces of motivation make sense. It really is. I mean, of course, money is usually a big factor, but there's always other things, and I think that people, if they can realize that there's more than just the money, that like as far as reasons that they want to do it, that can be more motivating. Like you said, you have a daughter, and you're like, I want to show her I can do it, and you also want to make more money for her and take better care of her. So all that
correct.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So at what point did you find SuperfastCPA? CPA? Was that around the same exact time that you wanted to kind of commit more, or was it a little bit after?
A little bit after, yes. I think
Okay.
I had gone on vacation in July, returned, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this going. And I think I did a month of like my typical
Hmm.
CPA prep course, and I was just struggling to be honest. That same style, which I mentioned, which was reading videos, multiple choice, it was just like too time consuming. Like I couldn't.
Hmm.
It would just I come home from work, I'm tired, and like eat, shower, and then like it's 8 o'clock, and I'm like,
And
do
stare
I
at the
really want to stay up
computer
till
like,
12?
no
Yeah,
way.
yeah, exactly. So it wasn't working, and then but at that time, I would like as I review topics that I wasn't understanding, I would go onto YouTube, and I actually happened to come across one of your guys' YouTube videos where you guys go over
Hmm.
questions, things like that. So that's the
Okay.
first time I saw you guys. And how how you go over the questions and you go straight to the
Hmm.
answer, that kind of thing. So
Yeah. So when you saw some of those videos, did you then go like watch the webinar or go to the website? Like, how did that
yeah,
kind of get you into everything?
yeah, yeah. So, like I said, I saw a couple of your videos. I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. I got interested because like, oh, that's interesting their approach to it. to the questions. So yeah, I went to your website and I like started browsing and looking into
Okay.
it, and I watched that like I think it's a 10-minute video
Mm-hmm.
where you guys like introduce um, like who you guys are and what your method is and whatnot. And from there, I was pretty like, oh, okay, this is interesting. You know, like this might be able to something that's different.
Yeah.
Obviously, what I've been doing is not working. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try. And I think I purchased like the pro course, which is like I
Mm-hmm.
think you guys were doing a
Yeah.
discount at that time. So I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
perfect within my price range. So yeah, I signed up and got the pro package.
So with the pro package, are you saying that you got the pro course and the study materials as well?
Oh, for Super Fast CPA?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Like
yeah, yeah,
the mini
right,
quizzes and stuff like that as
correct,
well.
yeah, yep.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, everything.
So if we could kind of delve into it a little bit more. So, you were saying it was interesting how we were doing the questions. Was there anything else that as you were kind of getting into it with the pro course and everything where you were like, oh, like that might be helpful, or, any light bulb moments that you had when you were getting into that?
Yeah, yeah. So the first light bulb was obviously the approach, which was dive into the
Mm-hmm.
MCQs first. So like
Yeah.
at first I was like, well, that's interesting. Like I couldn't picture myself
Yeah.
like it's a struggle to be like initially it was like to get in there and you're gonna get it wrong, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
in your
Yep.
mind you like the way the other courses training is like you want to get it right because you do the
Mm-hmm.
questions after fact. But that was the first light bulb. I'm like, okay, maybe this is different. And then second was the video. I think you did that video right where you kind of go how you attack multiple choice. You open up an Excel spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
You take your like the I forget what you call them, but the notes,
Yeah.
the
Like
core
notes,
topics. I
pillar
think
topics.
yeah,
Yeah.
pillar topics. Correct. Sorry, the pillar topics. So and then you would recalculate on a second tab kind of thing. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that was like my second one. I'm like, oh, okay, I think this method works perfect for me. So like,
Yeah.
I would approach questions like that and build my notes like pillar topics, and then recalculate on the second tab. And then another different thing I did was um, I would take the screenshots of the question and the answers, and I would paste them on a
Mm-hmm.
third tab, and then I would use that like to review like in the evenings or during my lunch at work. So like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, basically watching your guys' videos and then seeing how you guys approached it were really ways I had never approached it. It was me
Yeah.
like get a notepad and write notes of topics and like
Yeah.
um, and then, like I said, yeah, just the aha moment was like uh, taking the questions, going to questions
Mm-hmm.
first, and then taking notes
Right.
from there. And then with the repetition, I was like, okay, things are starting to click now. Like I
Yeah.
could I could
It's
see it.
actually making sense. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And so uh did you kind of change I'm curious, did you start studying in the mornings from there? Because you said you would come home after work previously. Did you start studying in the mornings?
I did, and yeah, that was a game changer too. Because it's like you said, like in one of that 10-minute video, or like you come home, you're burned out, and like you're just
Mm-hmm.
there's so much to like. The last thing we do is study or whatever, but it
Mm-hmm.
lets you unwind in the evening. But yes, I switched in the mornings. I would get up like at 5 some days, 6, and then do about an hour and a half of like of new
Yeah.
topics, and then save the last 30 minutes to do like 20 to 30 multiple choice of a recap of all the topics I had covered previously. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that
Perfect.
mentally, I think that helped a lot. Just doing it in the morning, be able to come home at night, and I mean, some nights I would just come home too, and just decompress, and then but also review my notes, read your guys's review notes, do mini quizzes. Sometimes just turn on the audio while I'm folding clothes, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that was a game changer for me as well when I was going through the process. Um because I still don't know why I like didn't want to study in the morning, even though I didn't like, it wouldn't have bothered me to study in the morning because I kind of like getting up early. But I was like, no, I'll do it after work before I go to school, or whatever the timing was. And for some reason I just didn't want to do it. But then I finally switched to doing it in the morning, and it makes a difference. Like getting it done and just knowing that it's done
Right.
it's a very different feeling. Even even if you could study in the evening and have similar results, like if you're one of those people who you're still just as alert at that point, that's great. But there is something to be said as far as like that mental load of just getting it done. It's
Right.
just done, it's out of the way, you don't have to think about it the whole rest of the day. I think that is a big game changer, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Definitely.
and throughout the day, what did that look like? Were you doing mini sessions? What did that
Yep.
all look like?
Yep. Yep. So I would do mini sessions. Like at my job, I would take like a 10, 15-minute walk, and walk a couple blocks, and I would take the app out, and then do the mini quizzes for like 15 minutes, just 5, and then do another 5, and then 5, 5, 5. So that was pretty much every day. That's, like I said, I take a 10-minute, 15-minute walk in the morning, and then one in the afternoon. And then also in the lunchtime, like I mentioned, also review some notes that I would print out, but also I would do mini quizzes. But the evenings was like, typically I would read the review notes to basically prep me for the next day. Like if I'm starting a new topic, I would kind of review you guys' notes just to kind of give me a heads up of what's coming up. So, but yeah, during the day, like mini sessions, whatever I could fit in at the DMV, just doing questions. So anywhere I could find time, I would. I would.
And you mentioned the audio notes as well. Like, when you're folding clothes, would you listen to the audio notes like on your way to work or things like that?
Yep. So I would put them on when I'm going to and from work. Like I said, also too, when I'm sitting, sometimes I'm just having lunch and I don't want to review any notes or anything like that. I would just pop on the audio notes. So while I was eating lunch in my truck, I listened to that. But basically, and then I would sometimes I drive to Arizona. So on those long drives, I'd pop on the notes. It was like 6 hours of just nonstop of the audio notes. So it was like wherever I could find, I would do the mini session. So
And just a quick question with that. Are you in California right now?
I'm
Is that right?
I'm California. I'm San Diego. Yep.
San Diego. Okay. So it's about 6 hours to Arizona. That's not, well, I guess it depends on where you go to in Arizona, because I live in southern Utah, but what parts would you usually go to of Arizona?
Yuma, Phoenix, Chandler.
Phoenix,
mostly Phoenix,
So,
and Yuma.
When would you go? Like, do you typically go, do you have family there or something like that?
Right, my daughter actually lives out there, so so
that makes sense.
Take drives, at least once a month I'm going out there, and then if I'm bringing her here, it's like to and from, twice. That drive
like
is
12
twice,
hours.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
So
it helped.
I mean, all that time listening to the audio notes, and a lot of times I'll have people say, I feel like I'm not really paying attention to them. I don't really want to listen to the audio notes, but no matter, like, I found that even if I wasn't 100% paying attention, which I usually wasn't, I still would glean something. Did you find that to be the case?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, especially on the 6 hours drive, you can't focus for 6 hours just on the audio notes.
No.
So like, I would, like, I might have missed a topic, but then I kind of like, focus on the road, and then like I'll come back to it. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, definitely, like, even though you're not 100% there all the time, it's still like you're processing that data, that information, and you're capturing it for sure.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about what happened as far as the exams. So, all these 12, 13 years in the past, kind of been struggling, doing the same thing. It come 2024, you start changing your methods. So what happened after that? Like, which one did you go for, and how did it go?
So the first one I wanted to approach was FAR, because I read that it was the lowest passing score. So like, just funny little, when I grew up in a neighborhood, you're like, you ever gonna fight? Always go for the big guy first. Like, you want to assert your dominance, like
take him out. Yeah.
So that's how I saw it. I wanted to go for the toughest ones, come out swinging, basically. And that was the first one I picked. After that it was Reg, TCP, and Audit. I saved Audit because personally I thought that was going to be the toughest one for me, and it actually turned out to be the toughest.
So you were right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think conceptually, like the numbers, like it's like the repetition and the rules, like, and you do so many, you're like, okay, I'm starting to understand this. But like Audit is a little more kind of like critical thinking, judgment. So that one I saved it for last, and it was very interesting.
So how did they go though? Did you pass them all first try?
Yeah.
How did it all? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I passed them all on the first try. I scored like 80s on pretty much all of them. I think my highest was 87 for TCP. Reg was 83. FAR was 82, and then Odd was 81. So,
wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
All on the first try.
I mean,
about a 12-month period.
That contrast is crazy. You went from 12 to 13 years of failing to passing all 4 first try in 12 or 13 months. Isn't that a crazy contrast there? That's awesome. So you said you would take like 8 to 10 weeks. Did that still kind of hold up
Yeah,
with these
so I'm trying
exams?
to remember. Yeah, it was about 10 weeks for the first one. FAR I took in December 2024. Then I
Okay.
took like a month off, and I got because my first score didn't come until January, so I started February, March, tested in early April, so I was like another
Hmm.
8 to 10 weeks, and then yeah, so they all pretty much 8 to 10 weeks. I did have a gap in a few times because my daughter was here for the summer,
Hmm.
so I had started TCP, and that was the only time I ever took a break. Was I had initially actually I was going to take, so I took FAR, Reg, Pass, and then I was going to do odd. But then I
Hmm.
saw that TCP actually had a high pass rate. So I'm
Oh
like, oh,
yeah.
that's perfect because I just rolling from reg to TCP, like,
Hmm.
and so I started on that one like in May, about 2, 3 weeks, but then I actually stopped and I didn't go back to it till about early July. So almost took
Okay.
almost a month off. So that was the biggest break I took.
Yeah.
But pretty much for each topic, yeah, it was like 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
TCP might have been a little shorter because of just the material
Yeah. I
was
mean, it's a
much
lot
less.
less. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just an extension of reg, so
Yeah. I've that's what I've thought as far as like, talking about the discipline exams. You know, people might think, bar is kind of an extension of FAR, ISC is an extension of audit, TCP is an extension of reg. But I think TCP is the one that is definitely like that's actually true. Like it definitely
yeah,
feels like you just continue reg. Like it just feels like a
right.
lot of the same stuff. Whereas ISC doesn't really feel like that, and bar definitely doesn't. Bar is so much more complex. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so with TCP, you said that you found that one probably the easiest? Is that right?
Yeah. Because it was just like it was more in depth into partnership
Hmm. Hmm.
basis, rental activity, income activity, passive, and all that. So like, I
Hmm.
found it like I was basically just continuing what I was doing already in reg. So I found it
Yeah,
really
that
easy to
makes
understand
sense.
because I had just tested on that one. So yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I definitely thought that was the easiest one out of all.
So, um, what did it look like when you were, so you would study, for 8 to 10 weeks, and about how much of that time would be dedicated to making it through the material? And then did you have like a final review during that time?
Yeah. So I would say about six, depending on how it was 8 to 10. So like six
Hmm.
weeks to get through the material, and every time it was at least 2 weeks to review. So I'd always leave myself at least 2 weeks, and then at that I
Okay.
would just do. Um, at that point, I was doing every day. Like if there was, I think, like odd, for example, I think there's 79 in the actual exam, so I was doing 79 every day, um, just
Not so
leading up to that.
79
Multiple
questions, is
choice
that right?
questions, yeah, every day,
Okay,
just
wow.
to
Yeah.
mimic the exam and my timing and everything. So I
Hmm.
think that really helped a lot too, just like that.
And were you, so during those 2 weeks, you're doing a ton of multiple choice questions. Were you also practicing Sims? Like when did you fit Sims in?
Yeah, so I actually didn't do too many sims. The one I did do the most sims was for audit.
Hmm.
That one I did leading up to it. I was doing a lot more sims, but for the other three topics, if I did do sims, it'd be like to the very end, like maybe the last 2 days, which is kind of crazy. I guess it sounds like to do sims on the last 2 days, but that's pretty much how it played out. I felt like the multiple choice questions, the mini quizzes, the review notes, that helped me like that. All that leads into to the um
Hmm.
to the
Yeah.
Sims, like that information, and like I've been working in accounting for I don't know how many years now, so many years, like so like bank recs are like the back of my hand, and like cash flow statements, net income, accruals, all that's
Hmm.
like, so it's like I felt pretty confident. So like
Right.
not too many Sims. But like I said, audit, I definitely did. Like I said, I felt the least confident
Yeah.
about that one. So that one I did um, quite a few leading up to that week. Yeah, like 2 or 3 every day, and then
Yeah.
multiple choice. So
So just to kind of make sure I'm understanding you there. So your opinion with The Sims was, uh, you know, you were decently confident in the material, and also you were doing lots of multiple choice questions.
yeah,
So why did you feel like you needed? And I'm just like I'm not like why didn't you do Sims? It's more like,
yeah.
well, what was your thinking with kind of saving it till the very end?
I think because it was more like because typically what you see in The Sims is like it's like a summary of what you learned. So
Mm,
like it's gonna test you on all that everything you learned so far into one problem. So like adjusting journal entries or
mm-hmm,
like the reconciling the cash flow statement, consolidation. So it's like seeing that you would get multiple choice questions and see like, oh, how much of profit do you have to remove from inventory or things like that.
Hmm.
So like that basically rolled into, to me, that's how I saw it. Like
Right.
it's just how it played out for me. Like that material basically, uh, like multiple choice question. I don't know how to explain it, but the multiple choice question just prepared me well enough, I guess, just that
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
ready for the Sims. And then so like I was saving
That
for the
makes
last
sense.
just to kind of like, okay, to give me an idea of what I might see on the test kind of thing.
Right. To kind of be familiar with the Sims, because I would say that you have to at least have practiced them a little
Yeah,
bit just to kind
yeah,
of know how they're structured and how they
right.
flow. Uh, and kind of along with that, towards the end of your process, did you also do any like practice exams? Did you ever
Yeah,
do
yeah,
those? Okay.
yeah. So I would do like four of them leading up to it. So like the last 4 days, even on the last day. So like just do practice exams. I think for like
Okay.
audit, like I said, I did two each day, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, just so I wouldn't get burned out like doing two exams straight. So I would do one in the morning.
So you're saying, so you're meaning like, and I was talking about like the mock exams, like the four
Right,
hour
right, yeah, yes,
whatever. So that's what you're talking about. So you would do, so you're saying that you did like two a day. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. In the last
Like right
four,
before?
yeah, like the 4 days, yeah, because I would take Fridays off from work to just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
start getting ready, and then but yeah, I would do mock exam because I would get up early. I was just so used to that this like the
Yeah.
recommendation. So like I get up at 6. If I can knock out one exam, I'm done by 10.
Yeah.
Do lunch, just relax a little bit, and then come back maybe like at 3, 4 o'clock, and just do another one. So yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. And what did you like? Did you find those to be helpful? Like obviously you did because you did them, but what benefit did you see from doing those practice exams?
Yeah, definitely beneficial. For me, it was like timing thing, like kind of gauge how
Mm-hmm.
if I can get through all these multiple choice, or how fast can I do them, or like breaking up, like the time to be ready, to be able
Right.
when I sit for the real exam, I know I can like okay, I'm confident I can get these numbers of questions done by in 2 hours or something like that, or an hour and a half, or
Okay.
whatever I need. Really, it was to leave enough time for the Sims because I know the Sims were going to take
Yes.
a long time, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it was basically, yeah, to me, if that's what it was helpful for, is just kind of like gauging my time.
Hmm. Yeah, and time management is a huge thing on exam day.
Oh yeah,
Like,
for sure.
and like you were just barely saying, like having enough time for the Sims is crucial. So with all that practice, when you would go into the exams, would you about how much time would you leave yourself for the Sims?
I'll leave about, what was it? Let me see, because they recommend 20, so I at least did. There's like 7 Sims, so like about 2 hours and a half, 2 hours, just
Hmm.
depending. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
around
so
there.
about 2.5 hours, and
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it worked well. Uh, just curious, what was your experience on exam day like? I mean, you had been going for years, so you kind of probably already were pretty familiar with the whole the whole testing idea. Did you have any like strategies or anything like that for exam day?
Yeah, actually, I don't know, was it one of your video guys where you guys were recommended to maybe schedule it on a Monday? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so that definitely changed it for me too, because I would before in the past I was scheduled on a Saturday, but I'd work through Friday,
Hmm.
and like I just mentioned, I would take the Friday off, so I would do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just like full on reviews. So that was a little bit of my strategy leading up to the exam, and then at some point I just stopped like 8 p.m. on that Sunday. I'm like, okay, well I know what I know. I needed to get a good
Yeah.
night's sleep, like just don't stress too much, even though it's almost
Hmm.
impossible. But and then so I scheduled the test first thing in the morning. I'm fresh in the morning,
Hmm.
8 a.m. test, 8:30, whichever was the earliest on a Monday. And yeah, I actually would get to the test center about an hour and a half early, and I would sit outside and I would jot down on a notebook like main topics, like let's say calculate basis for partnership, or like what does a review entail, or like things like that, like bullet points that took notes on things that I saw consistently in the multiple choice. So like topics like those, and just went over that, like the rules for certain anything I could that I knew that like I saw consistently. I would put in a notebook, and then I just kind of reviewed that. And that's it. I mean, I was so nervous going into the test,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
The
I mean, I
nerves
never
are the
felt
nerves are
confident in any
real.
of them, but
Mm,
you just go in there like, okay, I'm here now, so let's do this.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think that I felt like I passed any of them except for maybe my last exam, just because I worked in tax and it was reg. So I was like, I think I did, but even then I wasn't like willing to say, oh, I for sure passed it. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's because there's just, it can go any way. Um, Kind of going along with your notes there. So are you saying that on the day of, you would like kind of almost brain dump into the notebook? Like, these are all the things that I know, and you'd write it down, or had you already done that previously?
yeah. Sorry, no, I had already prepared those notes.
Okay.
So like,
Okay.
yeah, those leading up like throughout the 8 weeks or whatever, I would
Right.
see
Okay.
things that I was struggling with that were I felt like, oh, these are gonna be I'm consistently seeing them, so I know it's probably gonna be on the test. So
Right.
yeah, that was a notebook of just things I like, bullet points of variety of
Okay.
topics that I felt like, okay, that's definitely gonna be on the test.
So is that kind of, this kind of leads into another question that I have. So when you had something that was difficult for you, like, you were doing multiple choice questions and a certain topic was just difficult for you to understand, whether that was in planting the seeds or in daily review, how did you dissect those? How did you approach those? Was it with that notebook, or did you make flashcards? What was your approach with that?
Yeah, so I would take those notes, like I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
but also I would watch some. If you guys had the videos for those topics, I would
Mm-hmm.
watch those videos. And sometimes I jump on YouTube and just watch other YouTube videos, just like because I think I needed to see it done a couple multiple ways, or maybe this
Yeah.
person has a
Yeah.
different approach or things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So yeah, any topic that I pretty much struggled, I did was that. I did do a couple flashcards, not too heavily, but with my review course, it tells you which topics you're struggling with. So like I would pick those
Mm-hmm.
topics and maybe do another set of 50 or 30 and pick
Okay.
those, and you can pick like the like unused questions or incorrect questions, and I would pick
Mm-hmm.
those two because it is easy to kind of like, if you pick questions you've already answered, you fall into that memorization thing. So
Yep.
like I kind of try to be like, okay, I don't want to, maybe I'll just do unused and incorrect, so that way it's forcing me to like think about it and approach
Mm-hmm.
it and try to solve it rather than, okay, I know the answer to this. So
Right. Yeah. It seems like for you, it was a bit more of like the physical notes was something that really helped you. Was it like, did you have like a system for it, or did you just kind of write down pillar topics? Did you do calculations in your notebook? What did that look like?
yeah, mostly pillar topics. So like things like that. Like I still had the Excel spreadsheet, which like I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, I would sometimes during my lunch or in the evenings review the notes on the tab on the pillar topics, and then on the second tab any recalcs. And like I mentioned on the third tab, it was like screenshots of like the question and if I had gotten it wrong. Mostly the wrong ones that I took screenshots of, so I could read the question,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then so that I had it all on one spreadsheet.
Right.
But on the notebook itself, yeah, it was mostly like pillar topics or like the review courses would say like, oh, things to know. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
those big notes about those type of topics. So like I would kind of like write small notes about that. So
Okay.
it was a combination of, yeah, I didn't really have too many equations, but it was mostly like pillar topics, main topics, critical notes, things like that.
And you mentioned that you would sometimes watch, my multiple choice question walkthrough videos.
Right.
And that's something that I don't think we've really talked about very much on the podcast. But did you find those helpful? Did you use them a lot? What did you like about them?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I said, I would typically, if I went to YouTube videos, because I was struggling on the topic. So like
Mm-hmm.
um, that approach, like just going to the answer, reading it, and
Mm-hmm.
then reviewing it, and then going back. Or I mean, if I read the question obviously, and if I knew the answer, then I could put in the answer, or whatever. But if I didn't, just go straight to the answer. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that video, those type of that approach was very helpful. Like yeah, or just like other, like I mentioned, other YouTube videos where they'll go through the whole question, like
Mm-hmm.
deep dive kind of thing. So things like that. So like I think, yeah, YouTube videos help. The
Okay.
super fast ones, the mini, the what's it called, the quick reviews. I like I said, my favorite were your
The
guys
mini
because you guys
quizzes.
just went straight to that, yeah, straight to the answer, and that was a good approach, I thought, because that's how, like I said, that you guys had said to approach it, and that's how I was doing it. So
Yeah,
when I needed help, I just go watch your videos too, and that
that
would help
makes
too.
sense.
Yeah.
Uh, and do you remember, was there any topic or like exam where you maybe used the multiple choice question walkthrough videos a bit more, or where you found them extra helpful?
For, sorry, say that again.
Was there anything like any topic or specific exam that you found the multiple choice question walkthrough videos especially helpful for?
Probably, yeah. I think some of one of the tougher topics where I probably was a consolidation.
Mm.
That one was a tough one for me. Like the inventory part was tough, like what to remove from revenue when you're
Mm-hmm.
consolidating all that.
Yeah.
That topic for sure. On reg, I was trying to think the basis ones. So like, I can't remember off the top of my head to be honest, because it's been a couple months.
Yeah.
But
No, it's good.
there's definitely topics that like I had to go in and it helped a lot. Like just like I said, videos would be like my supplemental thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah.
if I was again if they're just a multiple choice I didn't even really read that much. Like I said, it was all multiple choice. It was straight to the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of your process. We've talked about how you did the mini sessions, how you did your studying, your final review, the sims, how you did your notes. I think we've hit most of everything. So as we're kind of wrapping up, what benefits would you say you received from Superfast CPA? Like, what were the benefits that you received?
I think the best benefit was just like approaching something differently, not being afraid to do it a different way. Because like you see the way the courses try to teach you is video lectures, even social media, like people that like
Mm-hmm.
on social media videos, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, like they all focus on like coming home from work, I'm ready to study, like like and like it's ingrained in your mind that it should be like come home from work and
Mm-hmm.
study, but like I think the most beneficial thing was like approaching it differently,
Mm-hmm.
um, studying in the morning, changing my mentality of like, can I really start a section by going straight to the questions and like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's mentally you want to go to do the questions after you know the stuff and you want to score high. So like it was a very big change to like do it the opposite way. So
Right.
just like mentally it helped me a lot to like break out from the norm, like approach it that way, and like just yeah, just approach it and not be afraid to do it a different way. Just
Yeah.
like I felt like that was just changing the schedule to the morning too. Like the whole mentality thing for me, just like change everything, like when to study, how to study,
Mm-hmm.
and not. And I remember when the video, I think one of the videos you guys talked about, like even if you didn't know the topic, just move on because you're gonna do your recap and you're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
come across anyways. At some point, you're gonna come across through the multiple choice again. So just like whole mental game change for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so glad that it was able to be helpful for you. And, that's why I wanted to work for Superfast CPA, because it was the same thing for me. I felt the same way. It was just so helpful. Um, so as we're wrapping up, there is something I typically like to ask with, and that's, was there any part of the process that we haven't gotten to talk about that, before the call you were thinking about it and you were like, I would like to share this, that we haven't gotten to talk about yet?
Not really. I think we covered all the stuff that I think.
Okay.
Um, yeah, pretty much the approach and everything, like using guys' notes, mini quizzes, all that stuff helped. All
Yeah.
that. So like I think I pretty much just changed whatever you guys recommended. I did that.
That's what you
It
did.
worked. It just worked for me. Just it happened to work and like
Yeah.
yeah.
So so this is the same question I always ask everybody at the very end of the interview. So even if it's something that we've already talked about or mentioned, still say it again. What would be your top 2 or 3 tips to somebody who's still going through the exams?
Consistency for sure. Like I said, having a schedule and staying to that schedule. Um, Multiple choice questions for sure, hammering those out. I learned a lot through multiple choice, and then in the case of Superfast CPA, like using those supplemental things like the
Mm-hmm.
review notes, audio notes, mini quizzes, like and actually use them, not just like
Yeah. Yeah.
like use them. Like that's what they're there for. So like I said, take those walks, force yourself to do them when you're waiting in the grocery line, DMV. For me, it was my walks. So like
Mm-hmm.
it really did help, just like being able to like just refresh myself on topics. And yeah, that mini quiz stuff, 5, it was easy. Like 5, it's not overwhelming. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
perfect number of questions. And then after you do 5, it's like, okay, let me do 5 more. And next thing you know, you're maybe like
Yeah.
40 in, like on a
Yeah.
30-minute walk.
Yeah.
So that's it. Just yeah, just use the material that you have, the supplemental stuff, maintaining your schedule and commit to it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I mean, consistency, especially, like that
Oh yeah,
is just, I think that if there was one thing I could, like, from what you said, that I could have people focus on, it's the consistency, like studying every single day, the never missing days. It's just a huge deal. And you saw that. I mean, you saw that
yeah,
when you were like in the previous years, you're kind of off and on, and it
yeah,
like kind of study, and once you really committed and you were just doing it every day, that's when you really started seeing the success, right?
yeah, definitely. And I think the big, like I said, mentioned earlier in the interview, the biggest change was like being able to do it in the morning and then coming home with
Mm-hmm.
that. It's kind of like a weight off your shoulders, and not like,
Oh yeah.
oh man, I have to
Mm-hmm.
do another a 6 hour session in the evenings,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So like being consistent, waking up definitely changed, was the whole approach to this go around. And I mean, my test results speak for themselves. So I was like,
Yeah.
you guys really helped me. So I'm thankful that you guys have super fast CPA, man.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you were able to find it helpful. And I loved seeing you in the forum. When you occasionally post, especially when you posted that you had passed, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, congrats on being done, Ricardo. It was
Thank you.
awesome having you on the call today, and I hope you
Cool.
have a great rest of your day.
Yep. Thank you. You as well. Good luck to everybody
Thank
too.
you. Yep. All right, that was the episode with Ricardo. Again, I love the story. 12 years of failing exams to passing them all first try in 12 months. Just such a huge contrast. All it took was changing his strategies and following the SuperfastCPA CPA process, and there was this huge turnaround, and he was able to pass the exams. And I'm sure you loved this episode with Ricardo as well. I hope that you took something from it and that you're going to change something about your study process now that you've listened to this and seen the success that Ricardo had. Now, if you did find this episode helpful, make sure to like it and leave a comment in the YouTube video. Before you go, make sure to also check out our SuperfastCPA CPA training webinar on superfastcpa.com if you haven't already done that. That is a 1-hour webinar that is free, where we will teach you the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam so you don't waste months or even years of your time failing exams. And after you watch that, you're going to want to learn more, so make sure you also check out becoming a SuperfastCPA CPA Pro member, because Pro members get access to a lot of great stuff, especially the Pro course, where we will teach you in depth, basically much more in depth than the 1-hour webinar, how to pass the CPA exams. So check out the webinar, check out becoming a Pro member, and again, make sure to like and leave a comment on this YouTube video or leave a rating in your favorite podcast app. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next episode.